Hello everyone and welcome back to Unity of Command. This is the campaign scenario Smolensk from the Blackturn DLC. Smolensk, July the 7th, 1941. Dramatic success at Minsk has brought the German armor to the banks of the Dnieper within just 2 weeks. The infantry is lagging behind, however, and the continued push to Smolensk is looking to be a challenge. And the challenge this scenario definitely is. If you look at this schematic map, then you can see that this is the prerequisite scenario for Typhoon, which I believe is the final. It's not the last one either chronologically or in the campaign, but this is the biggest challenge in many ways. Typhoon is definitely the most complex scenario of this campaign, and in many ways it's the most difficult one as well, in my opinion. And Smolensk is the scenario that introduces a lot of these elements that make Typhoon challenging. So you have to step up your game, and even if you won the first 3 scenarios, like we did with brilliant victories and no prestige spent, you still need to improve your game and learn new strategies and tactics and really master the game down to its detail. Now, immediately you can see that our forces are very heavily outnumbered by Timoshenko's Western Front, Soviet Western Front. The infantry outnumbers us 2.5 to 1, even though we have armor superiority. So this is a challenge from that perspective as well. On the other hand, we received 2 air attacks per turn, which is excellent, and you receive it per turn, as I've mentioned, so you can bomb away. I still haven't, back when I finished this, I still didn't master this air attack, how to use it, so in a lot of the turns I waste it, unfortunately. Additionally, we also get 1 bridging action and 1 overall, so not 1 per turn, it's literally 1. And you need to use it at a very, very, very specific place, spot, in order to be able to win the game. So this is not really a strategic asset, it's more of a gimmick. That it's like you need to find out where it goes. That's it. Not very difficult to find out, by the way. So if we look at the map, then you will see quite a few things immediately. First of all, you will see what we already know, that we are quite heavily outnumbered, and also that it seems that all of our units south of this river are either tank divisions, Panzerdivisionen, or motorized units, so they are very fast and very powerful. We also have 1 cavalry brigade, that's the exception to the rule, but at least that's also relatively fast. In the north we have some standard infantry divisions, and they seem to be quite isolated. You also immediately see that we are less excellent than we used to be, so these units are no longer elite. We do not have any elite units with us. They are all veteran, and instead of having 7 standard steps, they have only 4 or 6. So 5 or 6. So it seems that we are getting weaker. On the other hand, the Soviets are really getting stronger. They have a lot of mobilized units, and they will also receive a lot of units and as well, and a lot of the divisions that we see here have special steps. Let's start by explaining those special steps right away. So we have already talked about the pioneers. I'm not going to talk about it again. It removes entrenchment, basically, and they are also very, very strong. They add a lot to the unit that they're attached to. We have briefly mentioned or touched upon the Sonderkraftfahrzeug 231, that is the SDKFZ 231 reconnaissance unit. This special step adds a lot to the attack, so it's an excellent asset, but it also gives recon capability, which means that this unit can conquer territory far more effectively. If the territory is not held, then it also captures hexes that are 1 hex away from it, so it can really get a lot of areas for you immediately in one go. We have 1 SS division, that is the 2nd SS division, Das Reich, and that one received a Sturmgeschütz 3, Ausführung E, that is an assault gun. For all intents and purposes, in this game it acts as a tank, so it's basically an extremely powerful special step that you can use after moving as well, and that's it. It just adds a lot of firepower and defense to your unit. We also receive our very first towed equipment, that is the 88mm Flugabwehrkanone, anti-aircraft gun. It's an excellent asset if you can use it, but as you know, you can only use it either defensively or if you fight before you move. So what this means is that this 17th Panzer Division is practically indestructible. So if it's on the defense, then it's extremely strong, and you should also therefore push it as far ahead as you can into the thick of the enemy, and thereby allowing it, hopefully, that at the start of the turn or before it moves anyway, that it can shoot away at enemy units, since that means it is far more effective. It can the tank division still works after moving, but then you cannot use this added capability here. The Soviets also are fielding a few new items, a few new little gadgets. We have already mentioned the NKVD. They already started with 3 NKVD brigades or divisions. Their 45mm M42 type artillery gun makes a return here for a couple of units, and they have a new artillery piece as well, a little toy as well. It's the 122mm M30 type artillery. It's another piece of towed equipment. This is very popular with the Soviets. We're going to see in this campaign that they use this a lot. It's not that powerful, but it's pretty good. Okay, so obviously any unit that fields this artillery is superior to anything that doesn't. So these units are still quite significantly better than their compatriots or comrades. And yeah, that's it. Otherwise, they're starting to become more threatening, more difficult. Now, let's look at real quick at the objectives we have to take. First one is Vitebsk. Vitebsk protects the Soviet line along the Dwina. Capturing this city will force the Soviets to withdraw. Take it by the end of turn 2. Now, if you take a look at it, we have 0 forces on this side of the Dwina, so we need to cross the river, force a crossing in some cases. At least we have bridgeheads, but whatever. We need to run across and capture this city, which is not heavily defended at the moment, but the Soviets can reinforce. And yeah, this objective is not at all difficult, but you cannot. So if you under allocate or over allocate units to it, then you will have failed the map. So you need to be quite specific with how many units you send there. Then we have Smolensk itself. Destruction of enemy forces in the Smolensk area will greatly reduce organized Soviet resistance west of Vyazma. We'll talk about terrain in a moment, but basically this area is not really suitable for tank warfare. You cannot rush across and cut off units and attack at weak points, whatever. This is more like a meat grinder. So it's a forested area with dug-in Soviet troops that with little maneuverability. So it's really more of a grind here to capture Smolensk. Then by the end of turn 5, we need to capture Velikiye Luki in the north, clear the Soviet forces in the forests west of Velikiye Luki, and link up with the bulk of Army Group North. This text is bogus. These units in the west will never make it here, and you will see that they run out of supply as well. So if you want to capture this city, then you need to reallocate forces from other front lines, and this is one of the crucial elements of this map. I'll talk about it in detail in a moment. Then we have Yelnya. Capturing Yelnya allows for an advance on Vyazma from the south, should the Dnieper line be strongly held. And that's right, Vyazma is right here, right off the map. This also needs to be taken by the end of turn 5. And once again, this is an objective that is pretty difficult to hit, because you either have to force a crossing here on the Dnieper, or you have to go from the southern end. So you need to capture this along with Roslavel on the 5th turn, the latest. Occupy Roslavel as flank protection against a possible counteroffensive from the south. That's right. The way it works is that you won't have time to go in the north and then turn south and capture it, so you also need to attack here. Basically, you need at least a rather three-pronged attack, 2.5-pronged attack to get there. Let's look at the terrain, and I'll tell you what I mean. If you look at this, in the north it's all forest, so not really suitable for armored combat. What you really need to do here is capture Vitebsk and allocate a few fast, but not necessarily very strong units to capture Veliki Luki. It's a very easy point to capture. It's only protected by a standard rifle division, and you don't need to besiege it from across the river. You can just cross it at the bridge, and that's it. So one thing you have to learn here is that you should be able to allocate at least fast units from one front to the other, and that's the key here. That's something that we have not used so much before, is that as demand requires, you have to reallocate forces. For instance, the ones at Vitebsk will rejoin their forces by going across these two bridges right here. And here in the south, so in the middle it's a forested area, as I've explained, so it's more of a meat grinder, and in the south you would say that this is more suitable for tank combat, so it's a relatively open area once we cross the Dnieper, and you would be right except for the fact of supply. So our supply is pretty strange, and we have to rely on very specific points. This one in the north is worthless. It will only protect your it will only supply your infantry units in the north, and as long as they don't wander off too far into the forests, right? So this will stop around here. Then we have a totally pointless supply source here in the middle with a range of 9. It is not on the road, so it is absolutely useless. We have just next to it a supply source of with a range of 6 on the road, and that's better. However, if you take a good look at it, you will see that this bridge is broken. And remember, you get one bridging action. You absolutely must use that one to repair the bridge here. Otherwise, you cannot win this scenario. Not only for brilliant. I don't think you can win it even on normal difficulty for normal victory. I mean, and that way you have supply right up until Vitebsk and then in the north as well. Our main supply line is this one with a range of 8, and as you can see, the supply route here ends at Mogilev. So what that means is that you need to clear out all the way until Mogilev, and then the bridges are not very so across the bridge the supply is still okay. It's not an obstacle like a river. But still, supply might easily run out somewhere around here, so it's not enough to capture both of these points, at least not fully. So you will also need to capture Smolensk anyway, so you need to capture this road along as well, so to remain in supply constantly. This means that we are also very vulnerable. Any place that the Soviets cut us off can threaten us with lack of supply. Our final supply source in the south is completely pointless. Once again, it's a range of 6 on this road, which connects Minsk to Gomel. But the problem with that is that there is no way to make it longer, and it ends literally right here. So its only purpose is to give supply to your units in the south at the beginning, and yeah, that's basically it. We need to keep an eye on the terrain, on the rivers, on the forests, on these supply routes, and of course on the enemy. So we need to clear out this road as fast and as complete as we can. Then we need to force a crossing and need to head to Roslavel in the south. In the middle, it's just a meat grinder, crush, and destroy, and get to Smolensk. Here you need to go to the north, capture Vitebsk, send some units off to further to the north, and send the rest here to rejoin the middle forces. I didn't play this scenario perfectly still, So this replay you're going to see works, but if I were to play it again, I would allocate more forces here to the south and fewer here to the middle, because with the forces joining from the north, they should be enough to take at least Smolensk. You can decide how to take Yelnya, either from the south or right from the west directly, or from the northwest, southwest or northwest. But if you come from the north, you have to force a river crossing, so count with that as well. Also count with the fact that the enemy is more numerous, more entrenched, has special steps usually, and it receives a whole bunch of reinforcements, an ungodly amount of reinforcements. These units in the north are perfectly worthless. The Soviets as well, they're all out of supply, and they're gonna run out of supply, and they're only basically there to help out at the beginning and later on to destroy these meager forces. You can send them marching across, and they will eventually make it, but they won't do anything else on this map. Alright, I think I've explained everything, so let's see what happened on the first turn. I immediately start by trying to take out this NKVD unit so that we can capture this side of this bank of the Dnieper, as well as removing its discourage retreat attribute. Now, another thing that you need to learn on this map is better unit allocation. So these straggler Soviet units are not powerful at all. They are actually pretty weak, but you cannot waste forces on them. You will receive infantry units very soon, infantry divisions, which will appear all over the place, and they can mop up, finish off these last remaining stragglers, but you have to make sure that they don't cut off supply. So their only danger lies in the fact that they can cut you off, and you have to stop them from doing that. Apart from that, you can feel free to leave them behind. So I destroy this one, and I allocate this tank to stay here. But once these two divisions are destroyed, I'm not going to care about this one. I'm just going to cut it off and let it remain there happily ever after. And the cavalry division is more than enough to stop these two units from approaching the road around Bobruisk. So they will move instead towards the east, which is fine. We can just finish them off later like that. Now I move the SS up, and we try to destroy the NKVD unit, which retreats, and we want to destroy it. There it goes. We overran it, so let's shoot again. We breach it, and this unit fled forwards for some reason. Now our supply is not great, so it's average, it's only 8. So for now it's gonna be fine, but overall you might want to pay attention to this road. I tried to, but I wasn't that successful. Now in the north I made a not very successful attack across the river, but we need to clear out this path, and you can only use the bridging action, as I mentioned earlier, if you control both banks of the river. So this is quite important to clear it out as soon as we can, and that's why we are trying to come here, destroy this unit, and in the next turn, the latest, you have to make a connection here, make a bridging connection here. We also send this unit across, and I really desperately try to destroy this NKVD unit with success. And here in the middle, I just start whacking away at the enemy, and that's it really. This gave me a good chance, and this layer division, even though we lost in the previous match, it worked out quite well. It respawned, it reappeared, and it is quite okay against standard Soviet rifle divisions. Our recon unit is excellent in the offensive, so after overrunning that unit previously, we just send it ahead, and once again we advance. Don't worry about these stragglers, don't worry about anything else, advance. And here is one thing that I didn't do correctly. I'm bombing this unit, not that it did anything, so there is no harm done. But you know, you should combine your air attacks with ground attacks, so preferably bomb something and then try to assault it with your ground units. Now I'm just using these units in the north to try to destroy as much of the Soviets as possible. We breach this tank unit, which is fine, and I'm trying to destroy it, and I'm going to destroy it in this round. This is not significant. The infantry units won't make it back, and I don't think they really try to make it back to their own lines. Oh, by the way, I haven't mentioned the Soviet supply, which is not important in the sense that you cannot cut them off. They're all situated on the road, pretty powerful, and you can basically count with all units being constantly in supply except for the ones in the northwest. So there is no, you cannot play with it, you cannot count with it, you cannot do anything with it at all. Now the Soviets, once again, what they do here is it's actually very smart. They try to go to the eastern side of the river. They try to block it from us, block us from approaching it. I don't know why the AI does this, but it removes almost all of its entrenchment, and that's pretty bad for it. So I think it makes some really bad moves. And here in Vitebsk, it knows that we want to capture it right away, so it bunches up a lot of worthless infantry units and a few excellent ones as well. Vitebsk is very thinly held. This unit only has 4 standard steps. And yeah, and you can already see that it's really going to be a very difficult scenario, cutting through all, mowing down all these forces. And they are not necessarily weak, as I've mentioned, so a lot of these forces are quite powerful. Some entrenchments and the victory axes, and that's fine. And now we really need to clear out this path, which this unit manages to do. The Soviets retreated because they were out of supply, and the AI likes to do that. But now I'm happy because once this is done, I don't care about these losses. Once this unit is taken care of, then at this moment, once it's retreated, we are not in danger of being cut off. So there is a river here, it cannot cross it. So at this moment, I know that I can just rush across, and even if this depleted unit tries to advance, which I don't think it will, but even if it does, then it poses no threat whatsoever. So we are free to focus all our attention on Vitebsk, which is our immediate objective, so we should do that. I destroyed this one with an overrun because I got a good chance for it, and I also overrun this unit, and this sometimes happens. After overrunning it, after defeating it, it doesn't die, but it flees, and as I've mentioned, it flees in random directions, so it flees right next to us once again, giving us another chance to attack. Our recon was suppressed already before this last battle, and now we receive more suppression. We receive no losses whatsoever. But if you look at this, then this tank is quite weak to defend itself at this moment, which is fine. It's fulfilled its purpose. And we are already spawning in the first unit that we received. We spawn it here, march it ahead, and take the supply off of Vitebsk. We spawn in another one and keep assaulting. And once that is done, I'm positive that we can conquer the city now, so I immediately rush forward to try to besiege Veliki Luki. The idea is that this unit will remain in supply, and its sole task is to take this city. So basically, it's a one-on-one battle, and it has a lot of time to achieve this goal. So I don't want to allocate more forces, but this one is going to practically stay there. All right, we destroy this final defenses, and I don't recommend immediately attacking after in such a situation, because this unit might have retreated, randomly back into the city, but that didn't happen, so we managed to conquer it just in time, and we're fine. We are free to progress, and I'm setting up the new units, and as I've said, they are really good at mopping up these stragglers if they can reach them, obviously. So that's what you should, you should leave these stragglers to the infantry units, and use your superior units to progress, to advance. And what I'm trying to do is trying to get this successfully, is trying to get this road connection here to the south, so that we are perfectly in supply in the next turn. And we also managed to destroy this tank with a Pioneer tank division, Panzer division. And yeah, we're just progressing. This unit moved. It had a gun, but after fleeing once, the gun is automatically suppressed, so that's fine. And this relatively weak in the sense that it has only 4 active steps. Großdeutschland mobile motorized division is great, is perfect for taking out that final step of that unit, then screening this one off so that it cannot cut us off. I don't care if if this one tries to move to the south, it won't, by the way, and cut us off here. There is nothing we can gain from there. So if it wants, it can just stay there. And this seems to be a pretty stable setup, so I decide to advance. There are bridges across this river, 3 bridges actually. So we are trying to clear out as many of them as we can. And we are very boldly already forcing our way across. The SS can push as well. And I'm not sure if I made a mistake here, but what happened here is that later the Soviets will move across the river and cut us off from supply, so that's not great. You can stop that from happening, obviously, but probably what should have been done differently is that more tanks should have been allocated southwards to in this area, and this is overkill. Once these ones turn south as well, then there's going to be real power concentration there. In the north, we just keep mopping up these units. There is nothing to like. There's no importance here. So these battles have no consequences. It's just something that you do. And once again, I forgot to use my air attack on valuable targets. We take supply of this unit, but this is totally worthless. It's gonna regain all of its steps to full strength next turn, so we didn't gain anything with it. This is, however, very important. We fixed the bridge. This was the first turn we could repair the bridge, and it's gonna be up by the beginning of the next turn, allowing us to remain in supply all of these units. Well, at least these groups. As I've said, this is crucial. And now the Soviets start with reinforcements. They're gonna receive a lot of reinforcements with these 122 millimeter artillery guns. And they already sense the danger, and they try to bunch up in front of us. They see that we are numerically not very strong here, unfortunately. And they also see that they can cut us off from our supply. They see that correctly, unfortunately. Even though some of their units are also cut off from supply themselves, this is a good move, and one that we will regret later. So they don't dare attack us, and that's wise, because we would repulse them and they would suffer horrible casualties. But they do cut all of our units, basically all of our units off. And they're also trying to block our progress. Here and around the area of Smolensk, this is not going to be very successful, because we even outnumber them, I think, and definitely outgunned them. That's it. This one managed to run back to its own line, so that's something, I guess. And on our third turn, we still don't need to capture anything. Smolensk is turn 4, and all the other objectives are turn 5. But we already sent this motorized division here, and I want to duke it out against this unit here. It removes 1 step as KIA, that's fine. Sooner or later it's going to simply destroy it or make it flee and enter the city. That's it. Now in the north, I'm just clearing up. There is nothing to worry about here, really. So we just destroyed whatever we can. And since this one blocked us off from supply, that's the one I want to destroy first. And these units are completely worthless. We won't be able to use them. So even though I lost that one, I don't care. Their only remaining purpose as of this moment is to destroy this one final Soviet unit and perhaps link up the road if they can, because I'm not going to move this one back for that purpose. And that's it. They're not going to fight any more battles in this map, so they're worthless. And now here in the middle section, we're just trying to overrun our opposition. I send this off to the north, fearing that this unit might not be able to break through, but it will. So this one will return to the south, actually. So that don't do that. You don't need more than 1 motorized unit in the north. And yeah, and we're just cleaning up these stragglers here in the south. And also we try to clear out the road that the Soviets completely recaptured, so hooray, I guess. It's better held than at the beginning of the scenario. And this unit is excellent, as you know, it has a gun, so I actually need to allocate a tank to not even destroy it but remove it. This one also flees back into safety. Unfortunately, we did not destroy them. So I'm really focusing on liberating this road, or conquering this road, so that we get a chance to resupply our units which badly need it. Once I think that's secure, then we proceed. And the thing is that this unit has the 88mm towed equipment, so that means that it's excellent if it shoots before it moves. And to demonstrate this, we destroy and overrun a tank unit, and then we still use it to shoot at this infantry division. We are proceeding not directly along the route of the supply, but it's good enough. We are all in supply. And the reason I moved that tank back is to make sure that all of these units remain in supply. This unit is not fully back up, and so cutting it off would be horrible. And the supply comes from here, so it's kind of important. On the other hand, we are running ahead, and we are trying to destroy as much of the Soviets as possible. And we reach the city, but we cannot attack it. Here in the south, yeah, so that might have looked silly, but it actually wasn't. So I conquered that spot just for the fun of it, and then moved back to protect the bridgehead, so that the Soviets cannot move back again and cut us off again. And this, now we are secured. They cannot cross here because there is no bridge here. So now I know that the supply line is secure, at least, you know, momentarily. All right, I bomb this unit. We take 3 supplies off, and then we attack it. The reason I waited with this attack is very simple. I wanted to see if I need the bombing run elsewhere, so that's why I tried to clear out the road first. When I managed to do that, I decided that it's not needed. I bombed the city and successfully removed some supplies, which made the job of this Panzer division easier. Now I know that I can proceed, overrun. Unfortunately, it took off my pioneer. So if you saw what happened is that the overrun removed the pioneering from being active, which is horrible. We're gonna regain it, but I would have liked it to remain on this round as well. And I deliberately did not shoot at this unit, because I was afraid that if I overrun it again, we will lose more active steps to suppressed, and I don't want that. I wanted to crush this unit, and that didn't happen, but that was the plan anyway. Alright. And now we're just basically trying to destroy as many of them as possible, also to advance in a way that we remain in supply. And yep, there in the north, that was not a very... that was an okay move, actually. That was a great move. Just by moving that tank 1 step north, the supply line became shorter, and we secured also this supply route, so that was actually a great move. And here in the south, we need to finish the turn in a way that at the beginning of the next turn, all of these units will remain in supply. So as far ahead as possible, but keep the supply line, the supply chain intact. That's why I moved that SS division to the south to keep this one in supply. Otherwise, it would be fairly useless next turn. And I was thinking a lot about this, actually. It's a replay, it doesn't show, but I was thinking a lot about how to set it up, and I realized that this way the Soviets probably won't be able to cut us off at all. So so that's it. Now, the Soviets, as usual, receive reinforcements, and here we see a new, once again, a new specialist step. This is the T-34 tank, one of the best specialist steps that the Soviets can have. They can also have it attached to infantry units and mobile units as well, so motorized brigades. It adds a whole lot of stats, so a lot of points to their stats. If you compare it with our Sturmgeschütz, then you can see that it has 1.5 as much attack, and its defense is only slightly weaker, so it's really an excellent asset. Later on, we're going to see a lot of these, and they are truly the bane of our existence then. Fortunately for now, it's just one unit. And as I've promised, all of these new units appear with artillery guns, which are not very powerful, but they're still better than previously. And remember how we started out this campaign with 7 active steps, special steps, sometimes elite units going up against bare bones 5 step strong infantry units. All of these reinforcement units have 7 steps, so the maximum steps, active steps, plus a specialist step in the way of this artillery, which is again not very powerful, but still better than a standard one, and it's an 8th step as well. So these units are actually pretty strong. And as you can see, although we managed to clear out Smolensk, the previous turn, it moved its T-34 tank into it, its absolutely best unit on the battlefield, to try to protect it. It's not going to help it, but you know, it shows that it still had a way to make our life more miserable. All of these movements are not really important in my opinion. This unit moved here to try to block off the bridge, but we don't care about that bridge much, so that's futile. And the reason they moved here is, I guess that's as far as they could move, but also to block us off from proceeding to the south, where the other objectives are. The AI correctly measured that our main prong of attack is here. That's where our most powerful forces are. So it tries to block us the two prongs of attack, and it does it pretty decently. So this is going to be a tough fight. But first we get really lucky. We attack this unit, which retreats for some reason, and therefore we move in. So at this moment, the northern sector is perfectly secure. This unit won't be able to attack it because then it would get shredded to pieces, and I don't care what it does really from this moment on. We know that we won't need this other second motorized division anymore, so we can just swing it down back south. In the north, I tried to clean out this final remaining straggler. Actually, I cannot attack with these units because they've been out of supply for 2 turns. But at least I boxed this one in, so it won't also be able to attack, and this one unit will, so then we will just, you know, clear it out. I reorganized this unit. I didn't want to bother with it. I have no plans with the step that we freed up, but you know, that's how it is. And now in the middle sector, I just want to clear out these stragglers with the furthest infantry units that I have that couldn't be used for anything else, so that I free up my tank units to do something more useful. And realizing that this is a really powerful unit, I bomb it twice with no effect whatsoever, as you can see. And now I know that we need to capture Smolensk on this turn. We create 2 approaches, so we create an additional approach to the city, and I use my pioneer unit to try to attack it. And incidentally, this is the most powerful tank unit that we can have, that after movement. Before movement, this one is stronger with the 88 flak, but after movement, the pioneer one is the only one that's still active, and it managed to heroically destroy 1 KIA of the enemy tank brigade. That's because it's so strong with the T-34 attachment. I tried to throw everything at it and hope that it finally expires, and it finally does. And I can move probably one of my strongest units in to destroy it, to occupy the city and to chase away the infantry units from here. I'm not afraid of them trying to reconquer this. They are insufficient to do so, but you know, still, just let's clear out as much as we can. In the south, the name of the game is progress. We clear out these units with our slow moving units and our cavalry, and basically all we need to do is secure supply. Originally I wanted to make sure that supply can also reach from the north, but so from this bridge, but that didn't happen unfortunately. So there is nothing else left to do but try to progress as fast as we can. We need to capture this point the next turn immediately, so we go on. And I don't know if you noticed it, but this one step unit didn't grant us an overrun. It had a 90% chance to do so, and so I wasted this unit's attack on this this worthless step. I know we previously overran another unit, but still, this is one of our best tanks, so I was really upset about this, and I thought that moment that I wouldn't succeed on this map. But I still didn't give up. I tried to persevere, and yeah, there is no finesse to it. Once again, there is no special trick. Just try to overrun as many of them as possible and try to destroy them, as many of them as possible. They are not hard to hit, but you know, there are a lot of them, and so we cannot afford delays. So once again, I highly recommend you move at least some of these tank units more to the south, and one or two perhaps, and help with this assault, because this is going to be really tricky, and you can probably already tell that these units have to conquer Yernia. So I think normally you're supposed to conquer it from the southwest, but this way they don't stand a chance of doing it, and yeah, so the northern front will have to step up and conquer it instead. This Soviet unit attacked. It's relatively rare for the AI to attack, but it attacked because it saw its opportunity. The layer division only has 3 active steps, and it has a gun, so it has 6 active steps plus a gun, and it managed to grant 1 KIA, only suffering 2 casualties. So I think that was a good trade for them. Now it's time to clear up here. I try to use as many of the units in the back as I can to clear out as much of these units as many of these units as possible without wasting my really fast, really strong units. But I realized that I have to bring the SS here and to try to force a breakthrough in this area, and that's what's happening here. Fortunately, this unit moved to the north, and now it is destroyed. It again, once it was like 80% chance of overrunning it, and we didn't overrun it. Unfortunately, I was really mad at this. But still, at the very least, the northern flank seems to be open. So we really need to send now everything towards Roslavl. I take the area of control of this unit and proceed. And now I need to use my bombers. And this got really lucky, and I only used one of the air attacks because I was not yet sure if I need the other one here. So we took off 2 units, 2 steps as passive, so as suppressed, so that's great. I'm just trying to clear this out here. It's not really important. The layer division can take care of it now that it moved and no longer has the gun available. And just for the fun of it, I'm overrunning this unit, and this was really funny. It could have run literally anywhere, and instead it moved directly next to us, so we can finish it off. And this moment, I know that nothing is going to happen here in the north, because the defenders, the Soviets, don't spawn any units here, so it's all taken care of. The only thing remaining here is to take care of the straggler, and incidentally we gained some experience with that. Now we linked up. All of these units are gonna be in supply on turn 6, but we need to finish it in this turn. So this was all worthless. The only reason I did all of this is to allow me some time to think about the situation in the south, and to also to vent my anger a bit at how unlucky we got with the rolls. So this assault is going great. If you can tell, we are going to destroy everything here, and at this moment I know we have won. Since that tank overran the opposition, it managed to also conquer it. Now obviously this one step poor Group Khomenko Soviet infantry won't be able to destroy one of our best Panzerdivisionen, so now I'm free to think about how to deal with the south. I destroy this final step, and there is no more putting off the inevitable. We need to conquer this right now with whatever we have remaining. The only reason I did that out of fun is because there is a supply point for the Soviets there, which is now captured. I bombed the city, Roslavl, and it yielded no results. The second bombing run was completely ineffective, so here goes nothing. and our final assault comes here. Now again, this was not a mistake this time. I destroyed this unit because I needed to free up movement, and I was thinking that somehow, some way, maybe some of my units can still move in. I'm not sure if I remember it correctly, and maybe it just gave me a very high chance of overrunning it, and I just vented my frustration on this poor unit. But anyway, here is the real deal. We overrun this, and that's the key. We managed to overrun this unit, and we forced it to flee. And with the final movement step of this Panzer Division, it managed to enter the city. That's it. Nothing else. So I'd say that apart from the southern sector, everything was relatively clean. Nothing remains on the map except for these two units. One of them is pretty strong, by the way, still. So you can roughly follow what I did here. The only recommendation that I'm going to repeat here once again is that to send a few more units to the south, and to try to advance a bit earlier than I did. Be mindful of this road, and you don't need to really care about the southern sector. Anything south of this city of Mogilev is of no importance really. So regroup here and try to push immediately towards Roslavl. Then you should have an easier time. I needed to get lucky in order to win this battle this way. But other than that, follow my lead in the north and roughly do what I did in the middle. Then it's going to work out fine for you. What you really need to learn now is to keep your units in supply, and to avoid battles when it's not worth it. And that's a really tricky one, because usually you want to wear enemy units down and cause casualties if you can, but you have to find a balancing act, what is worth doing and what is not. So this I'm very happy I succeeded, and yeah, this is a great result, obviously, the best result there can be, and I still believe that I could improve on this if I wanted to. I don't want to. If I want to replay this scenario, maybe I'll replay it separately, but in the campaign, if you replay a scenario, all subsequent scenarios get deleted, and I'm not doing Typhoon again. That was really difficult, even though I'm positive I could win it again. So that's it. This is absolutely manageable if you allocate the forces correctly and if you are relentless. So good luck if you want to try it yourself. I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.